Hey, hey, hey.
What's up?
Nothing much. Get your little cat nap on. You were saying you was gonna take.
Yeah, I took it.
Alright, I'm getting ready to start the stream here in a second. And then, like I said, I'm going to just go over the index numbers and then introduce you and we'll go on to our little questions. Alright.
Okay.
How's everybody doing tonight? It's your host for the Black Money Market News, Samuel Hill, getting ready to go live once again to bring you the news you can use, the news your wallet can use, some financial advice at a great price, just some free news. Um, we're gonna have a very special guest on tonight's show. So if you're already joining us on the stream, you are going to be in for a special treat this evening. Give just a few more seconds here so we can get a couple more people on the live stream and get tonight's show going. All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to tonight's episode. Again, we're gonna have a very special guest, Miss Erica Burton, a I'm already got her on the line, so we'll be fairly quick going over these index numbers. We'll dive into these into more details here later. Pretty much a pretty solid day across the board. Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 0.33%. The NASDAQ was up 0.20%, and the Russell 5000 was up a little over half a percentage point today. S&P 500 was barely down $1.26. Bitcoin was down roughly $32 over the last 24 hours. Gold was up almost a full percent, rallying $11 today. And the euro dollar exchange was up roughly 0.13%. I'm excited tonight to have Miss Sherika Burton on the line. I'm going ahead and get her up and get her on the stream. So let's see. Hey, Sherika. Can you hear me?
Hey. Yeah, I can hear you.
Perfect. I just wanted to introduce you real quick. We've been friends on Facebook now, y'all, for a little over a year now, and ever since she's been blessing my timeline, she's been dropping wonderful dimes of knowledge just, in the realm of investing and taking care of your personal financial responsibilities. And she has a lot of great insights. If you aren't following her, if you aren't, connected with her on the business pages, definitely do so. I got those links there in the description for tonight's show. She's a financial educator. She's an author. She's a very funny comedian. So I want to introduce everyone to Miss Sherika Burton. And my first question to you tonight is, what's one solid piece of advice you like to try to instill into people when it comes to their finances and investing?
Learn what you're doing first. I feel like let's just use Bitcoin as an example, right? Everybody's jumping on Bitcoin right now. And I think Bitcoin is great, but people are getting it and they don't know what it is, why it's going up in value, and they're really not trying to learn. And so when these other coins that are behind Bitcoin, like the altcoins like Litecoin and Ethereum are going up and everybody starts talking about them, they're just going to jump onto that and not know what's going on. And that's how you create people who are going to get scammed. I'm all about making yourself as strong as you possibly can against people who are trying to take advantage of you. So I'm very, 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 very pro education when it comes to investing. I don't like people who just invest for the heck of it and just follow what other people are doing, because that's just another way for you to get taken in on some other endeavor. And then, of course, you can kind of write it off. Well, everybody else was doing it, but that's just not a good excuse. So I'm really, really all about making sure you know and understand what you're investing in.
Right. I mean, if you're putting your money into something, you don't want to just be throwing your money because you're following the wave. A lot of times when you start hearing
Right.
everybody else getting on board the train, it's actually kind of already too late. And you got to take your L's and learn that lesson. And like you say, study so you can figure out where the next wave is so you can be on the forefront of that wave. Um, I know
Yeah.
you was bringing up those different altcoins that are out there. And yes, right now there's a lot of hype building up around like IOTA coin, Litecoin, as people have seen these great returns in Bitcoin and where the price is with it now. Um, what are your feelings about those other altcoins?
Some of them are great. A lot of the coins are crap, honestly. They're just ways for the people who actually developed some idea or concept to collect your money and then leave. And with the cryptocurrency right now, it's very um, unregulated because it's a global movement. So it's not like all the countries have gotten together and said, okay, this is how we're going to treat this. because it's honestly it's too new and it's too fast moving at the moment. But a lot of it, you really have to do your research. You have to figure out who's behind this. Does it have technology behind it? Is this a viable solution to a problem? It's similar to these companies that are have their IPOs and they're not doing anything except the stock market is regulated, but you really have to be careful. So that's why the research comes into play because, especially with cryptocurrencies right now, the returns are astronomical. We've never really seen anything like this before, and the returns are astronomical, and everybody's eyes are getting big, and you can see people's greed. Like, this is really showing people's greed because they're trying to get 300% in a day, and they're thinking that that's average, and honestly, it's just not. So you really have to do your research because the moment you pick up one of these coins that are trash, all of your money can be gone, and then you're gonna be crying. And who are you gonna cry to? Because there's nobody really to report this to right now. So you really, really have to do your research. I hate to be a buzzkill, but that's really what I want people to get out of this and stop getting the big eyes and doing all this craziness.
Right. I don't think you're being a buzzkill. I think you're being a very much a realist. And like you say, a lot of these other altcoins that are out there, they are I want to call them snake oil salesmen, but they're selling an idea without actually developing it. And what they're doing is they're
Yeah,
trying to get people to that are hungry for the next Bitcoin, that are hungry for the next Litecoin to hop on their train without doing the work to actually build the train. So you get on the tracks, there's no
right.
train going nowhere, and you put 200, 300, $1,000 into something, and 2 days later the price drops 300%. You expect it to go up 300%. Now you back down to next to nothing.
Right. And because people aren't doing research, right? Like Bitcoin has hit five figures, but it took it 8 years to get to that five figures. And nobody's paying attention to that. They're just looking at what it's doing over the past few months. They're not really looking at it big picture, which is why I'm very much a long term thinker. A lot of these people that I'm seeing, new people, they don't even know anything about their own retirement accounts and they're jumping into these coins, and what they're doing is they're not really even trying to hold it for a week or 2 weeks, and they're just moving in and out of the different coins and they're losing more money than they're gaining. Of course that's going to put a sour taste in their mouth, and they're not going to want to do anything else ever again, and that's to their detriment because you have to invest if you're wealth. But honestly, I don't think most of these people are thinking about that. They're thinking about, okay, I need some money now, and this is what's
Right. They're
hot.
going for that quick flip. And like you're saying,
Yeah,
when you're putting your money into something, it should be an investment plan. You should have, a good thesis and hypothesis and a good reason as to why you're putting your money into an investment. And it shouldn't just because,
exactly.
ooh, this has gone up. This has gone up 300% in the last year. I need to get on that wave. You should be like, okay, what is the business plan? What is the model? How will it address, like you say, a problem? What is their solution? And if it is an actual solution, how viable is that solution? Uh, you know, in the marketplace. So I think you definitely are
Yep,
hitting some great nails on the head when you're saying that people need to take the time and do the research as well as take a broad look at your entire portfolio. If you're 100%, if your only investment is cryptocurrencies, if the SEC comes out tomorrow and says cryptocurrencies are illegal in the United States, your money's gone. So you definitely have to have
pretty
that
much.
balanced portfolio, and that's something I always stress, especially to my viewers and to the people in my programs, is you got to have you know, as many pots on the stove as you can manage. So you got to be able to, have a little cryptocurrency, have a little stock, have some mutual funds if you already have like a 401k account with your job, have some ETFs to give you some built-in diversity. so that way you are protected from, a macro or microeconomic change that you don't see coming. And
Yeah.
speaking more on the investment tips, you've been singing the praises of this investment group that you're a part of, and I haven't yet, but I will be joining you guys next year. That is my goal because I think what you guys doing is awesome. Can you explain to people a little bit about the investment group and the opportunities that they present to the members of the group?
Yeah. So the investment group is called the Abacus. It's basically a group of Black people coming together to learn about the stock market. We also have a retreat every year where we come together and actually fund Black businesses from the members of the Abacus. So we actually had two of them funded. So one of them, the guy, he's trying to make educational videos for kids. So we funded that. And then the other one that we funded was we purchased a home together. And one of our members is going to stay in that for less than $150 a month. We control the mortgage, and then eventually they will own the home. That's putting our the whole gentrification process back into our hands, and we plan to do that one house at a time. And our next project is to get a vacation home in St. Lucia so that our members can have a week for themselves to just relax down there and just doing more stuff like that. We really want to get off of Facebook because it's a lot of people on Facebook who have been talking and running their mouth for years and haven't done a dang thing. So we are about action, and we really want to get in front of people next year. So we have an event in Columbus, Ohio in January, and then the next day we'll have one in Detroit. So we'll have a 4-hour seminar talking about cryptocurrency. So that's really what we're all about, is actually putting in action and not just talking and staying on this platform trying to be keyboard warriors.
I definitely understand. You will definitely expend a lot of energy trying to educate those who really don't want the education, who aren't going to put the tools you give them to work. So I definitely can understand why you guys are going down that route. One product that
Yeah.
you guys have been working on, which I think is awesome, is your Russell 2000 report, which kind of breaks down the small and mid cap investments opportunities found on the Russell 2000. Can you kind of dive into what that product and what it offers?
Yeah. So what it was me and three of my other Abacus members. We looked at the Russell 2000 companies, and we had a set of criteria that we looked for for the companies to have. I mean, it was really tough. The criteria was extremely difficult because only two of them out of the 2000 actually met it. And then, of course, we had some possibles, but what we really did was just sat down and we looked at their financials and the products and services that these companies offer. And what's so interesting about it is a lot of these companies are crap, but most of these will be in your 401k, and they'll be presented to you as, oh, these are small cap companies and they have high growth rates, but it's really just falsehood. So that's why, again, we stress learning and knowing what you're doing so you're not putting your future into somebody else's hands. So that's the report. We have two packages for that one. We have a gold where you just get the possibles and the spreadsheet. And then we have a platinum package where you actually get the winners and the possibles and the spreadsheet.
Nice, nice. Um, I know you're an author. You have some great books out. Can you let our viewers know a little bit about the two books that you have?
Yeah. So the first one that I wrote is How to Earn and Keep Your Dead Presidents. It's basically more entry level on personal finance. So anybody can really read that. I really kind of wrote it for the younger people. It really just breaks down everything to a basic level and gives real world examples. But the next book that I wrote is called Twerk Money Tales from the Black Wallet. That's personally my favorite because it specifically speaks to Black people and our predicament. from a financial perspective and what we need to be doing. And it's very Afrocentric, and I don't mince words, and I get straight to the point because I'm one of those people where I don't have time to keep talking. I'm tired of the talk. We love people who are talkers and can put on a show, and I'm over it. We've got to move forward. And unfortunately, I know we don't like capitalism, but money is the way that we're going to do that. We focusing on politics and religion and all this other stuff. It's just not, to me, realistic. That's not what makes the world go round. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. We got to get out our feelings.
Right.
Got to get out our feelings.
I know we had this big election going on in Alabama, and people are saying black folks got out the vote and they saved the elections for the Democrats. But my thing is this, what is his policy when comes to his black constituents? What is he going to do, that is going to benefit his black constituency? We have a lot of people that are
listen, we know that.
I know that because the problem is we vote, but we have no capital to finance a political movement, a political stance, and a political agenda to actually be effective in politics. Right now, we are, hate to say, but we're the cheap whores. All you really got to do to get the black votes, go to a black church, kiss a couple of black babies, and say a quote of Martin Luther King. You're going to get the black vote.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that has done very little for us as a community. When you look at where we are at today in 2017, if you go back to 1967, financially we're in very much of the same position as we was back then. We may have more doors open to us. We may have fewer people that are calling us out of our names to our face, but we're still a bunch of financial niggers in this system.
Yeah.
So
it's actually really sad. As far as I can tell, I feel like we've regressed, honestly. Even back then we had more black owned businesses and we had to work together. I felt like segregation was pretty good for us because it really made us
unite and be a
put in the
community.
work because we had to, right? We had to unite. We couldn't go to their establishments and they couldn't just treat us any kind of way. And now we've gotten to the point where we're so complacent and comfortable and apathetic and want everybody to love us that we just don't want to make any moves. It's really sad. I've honestly, if I'm being realistic, I have to say I've taken on the perspective that we've lost as a collective, and I've accepted that, but that doesn't mean that I as an individual am going to lose. I feel like once people get back to saying, okay, maybe how do I win on an individual level? And if there are enough individuals that can win, then at some point collectively that has to mean something.
Right. And people look at me crazy when I say that integration was the death of the black community, but it really, really was. That is,
You're right.
Like
I ain't looking at you crazy. You're
right
correct, sir.
He said that he feared that he integrated us into a burning house, and he was absolutely correct. Back then when we had no other opportunities, we made our own opportunities, and now we're so dependent on this system. We go to their schools, going to their places of business, begging them for jobs, begging them for opportunities. And if we can't get the opportunities, we then go to the government to take care of our needs. But that's not how life works. That's not how successful people operate. That's not how a successful community operates. You have to become self-sufficient, self-dependent, independent. I hate to use them because they aren't really our allies, but to me, the Asian community is a perfect example of how they insulated themselves within their own communities, set up shop in their communities, gave opportunities to their family members and their neighbors, and then used that to build a financial base to gain political, power. You don't see politicians caping for the Asian vote. But what you will see them as politicians going to these Asian chambers of commerce and going to these Asian business leaders to get political donations. But you don't see them on TV. You don't see them in the Asian churches. You don't see them caping to get them to vote for them. But they will, put forth and follow their agenda just because the Asian community has the money to pay for those $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 plate dinners. and have those real conversations for their community. And we don't do that at all.
Yeah, he who has the goal makes the rules, right? So, I mean, we literally have nothing here. I mean, that whole myth of us having buying power is just trash, honestly, because if we did have that, then we could put that money to use from a political perspective, but it's that's just not how it is because we don't, like you said, we don't have an agenda and we're kind of just out here frailing
Right.
like in the wind, like we just want everybody to love us and it's not doing us any good. But like I say, we have humanity, but you cannot treat inhumane beings
Right.
humanely. You just can't. That's not how it works.
Forget this kumbaya. We are not
That's just
all one.
yeah, like you can't do that. You can't do it. That's not how it works. You can't show me one movement where both sides have been nonviolent and come to a mutually beneficial solution. You can't. You just can't. It doesn't that's
Someone
not
got
how it
their ass
works.
whooped first, and then they came up with an agreement.
Right.
So
Right.
that's one reason I love you, sister, because you are, in the same mind frame as me. That black folks who really have to take a look at ourselves, take a look at ourselves individually and collectively, that the decisions that we're making, and the old saying that you can't expect new results to keep doing the same thing over and over again, and that's like the definition of insanity. As individuals and as community, black folks are totally insane to think that we can keep going to these white folks, the same white folks that we call the devils, the same white folks that we say enslaved us for 400, 500 years, the same white folks that we know beat us, raped us, mutilated us, hanged us in front of our wives, children, brothers, sisters, and mothers and fathers for all this time, and expect them to respect us, especially when we're not bringing nothing to the table. And the whole like
Right.
$1.3 trillion in spending power, I believe we have that. The problem is we don't have enough resources to spend that $1 trillion within our own community. We gotta go pay the white landlord. We gotta go pay the white mortgage people. We gotta go pay the white electricity company. We gotta go pay the white grocery store. We gotta go pay the white clothing store. We gotta go pay out. So we can't circulate that dollar. That's the difference between us and all these other ethnic groups. Against the Asians, against the Hispanics. They have enough of their own businesses within their community to support at least some of their basic needs. Like if you go into a black community, I mean, Asian, Hispanic or Asian community, all you're going to see is Hispanic or Asian restaurants. You're not going to see too many Taco Bells on the Hispanic side of town, which is funny because people say that's Mexican food. No, that's really not. So you're not going to see
Trash.
Panda Express
What it
in
is.
Chinatown. But on the black side of town, you're going to have your KFC, you're going to have your McDonald's, you're going to have Burger King, and you're going to have Asian place serving fried chicken and fried rice. You're going to have, you know, an Arab
Don't forget
corner
the
store
check
selling us our
cashing
cigarettes and our
places.
loosies. But where's our businesses? Where's the businesses that we can go to circulate that money? Like I said, I think we may have that $1 trillion we say we have in collective spending power, but if we're just pissing it back to them, we might as well have $100 in spending power. But I definitely appreciate you having on the show tonight, Shirker. Is there anything else you want to kind of throw out there to the people, and any thoughts, or tell people where they can get your books at?
You can get my books, How to Earn and Keep Your Dead President. That's on Amazon. Twerk Money is at twerkmoney.com. Also, if you want to start buying Bitcoin, after you've done a little research, you can go to bitcoinshawty.com and start at Coinbase, even though I think Coinbase is trash, but they're okay. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you are learning about what you're investing in. I don't want anybody to get got out here. It's already, you see the, what do you call that, that blessing loom popping back up again every year. And I keep seeing people sharing that mess. Like there has to be a point when you're saying, okay, I'm doing the same thing and this isn't helping. We got to get out of the cycle of insanity because it's not helping our finances and it's definitely not helping us
And our mental health.
on any other level. Yeah, just mentally it's not helpful.
Again, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I definitely probably want to have you on again in the future if you're down for it. Again, everyone, this is Miss Sherika Burton. Her links are in tonight's video description. So if you want to connect with her again, bitcoinshorty.com. If you're trying to get started with your Bitcoins, twerkmoney.com to get her books and check out her other book on Amazon. I'm also going to drop her business page in the description so you guys can follow her there. Again, appreciate you for your time tonight. I know I kind of took a little bit more than I planned to, but definitely appreciate you having me on tonight.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Good night.
Night.
All right, y'all. Once again, that was Miss Sherika Burton with some great knowledge, great information to bring you guys. Again, like I said, I want to make sure I bring guests to you that's going to bring you guys good perspectives on how to develop you individually as an investor. It's great to want to invest. It's great to want to, grow your money. But if you're not educated on what you're putting your money into, if you're not taking the time to do the research, you might as well go give your money to the neighborhood drug dude on the corner and tell him to flip it for you, because that's pretty much what you're going to end up doing. If you're going to either give your money to someone else to go handle that for you, or you're going to end up pissing your money away and missing out on the true opportunity that investment can bring to you. There's a lot of wealth that can be generated from investing, and that's where one area that we definitely lose is because we don't take the time to invest. But we definitely want to make sure that when you are investing, you're taking the 10, 15, 20 minutes to read the financial perspective of the ETF, to read the financial quarterly reports from a company, to listen to their earnings calls, so you can have a sense of what the business is, what the business is doing, and if it's something that's really going to grow, or is it something that you may not want to actually put your money into. That's how a lot of people get got in investing, is because they don't take the time to do the basic research to find out what can and will work and what won't work in the long run. Tonight's show is going to be a little bit long because of our special guest, but what I want to do right now is kind of take a look at some charts. I like to go on technical analysis a little bit and help you guys understand what these charts are, because you're going to see them everywhere as you're getting into investing. And I want to make sure you guys have a good basic understanding of how to look and read these charts and what they really mean. So I'm going ahead and pull up the chart. I'm going to pull up the Dow Jones one first. Let's see if I can get that going. Boom. So this is the Dow Jones. This is a 1 hour chart. So let me go ahead and zoom in for today. As you can see, this morning we had a good pop and then kind of flat throughout the day. Let me see if I can break this down to a 5-minute chart. Here we go. So this was this morning at the open, a good gap up with a good solid follow through in the morning trade. Kind of a pullback, which is to be expected after a good solid opening run. But with the announcement of the Federal Reserve increasing their interest rates, as well as can't think of her name, Yellen's speech, her final speech as the chairman of the her final press conference as the chairman of the Federal Reserve. You can see that there was kind of a rebound back in the market since those expectations were met, as well as on the news of there being some, finalization of the tax cut plan in Congress. It came out today that the House and the Senate have kind of agreed upon 90% of what they're going to be putting into the bill. So definitely should be paying attention over the next few days as more and more of those details come out. After that rebound, again, a slight pullback, right back down to kind of the mid-low of the day. So a good, solid overall day on the Dow Jones Industrial Average. I'm going ahead and pull up the S&P 500 since it was kind of the only a little bit of a downer today. I'm gonna pull up the S&P 500 ETF, and as you can see, it also had a pretty good opening gap. Again, a short rally before the pullback midday, and then again a nice rise up as the tax information and as the interest rates were risen, which happened just after 12 o'clock or so. You saw that spike there going up with people selling on the end of the day. You see a lot of this selling towards the end of the day just because we are back at record highs. People want to make sure they lock in their gains towards the end of the year, especially as these more information comes out about this tax plan. The big thing that people need to pay attention, there's two things I think people really need to focus on when it comes to this tax plan from an investing standpoint. One is the first in, first out rule. And this rule would mean that when you're investing, if you're buying stocks or if you're buying mutual funds, um, let's say you're taking a long-term perspective, which is what you should. And let's say you started buying shares of Google 5 years ago, and you buy a little bit every year, increasing your stake in Google. Well, with the first in, first out rule, it will then force people to sell the first shares that they bought versus them being able to either average in their pricing at which they bought, which is what most people currently do, or be able to sell some of their later bought stock to keep those bigger gains locked in. So if that first in first out rule goes into effect with this tax plan, do not be surprised if you see a lot of selling going on towards it and as we finish out this year. Because if that first in, first out rule goes into effect next year, you may see people want to go ahead and lock in those gains to avoid those higher taxes on those larger gains next year. So that's something definitely keep a lookout for. The second big thing I want people to pay attention to is the SALT. And yes, SALT means the state and local tax deductible that a lot of people take advantage of on in larger in states with larger income taxes. So those are going to be like your Californias, your New York, your Oregons, your Washingtons, your Maine, Massachusetts. A lot of your East and West Coast states will be directly hit if they remove the state and local tax reduction from the tax code. That will actually make individuals in those states' taxes go up without there being any changes made at the state or local level. So you definitely want to pay attention to see if the state and local tax deduction has been fully removed, if it's been adjusted, because there's been a lot of talk and debate around that. And again, you also want to pay attention to see if they go ahead and go implement the first in, first out rule. You can definitely pay attention to my show, and I'll get you guys that information as those details come out. But again, do your own due diligence, do your own research. But that is the two things I want people to make sure that they're paying attention to when it comes to the tax reform, the tax cuts that they're trying to do, because it may not actually end up being a cut for you, especially if you're living in some of these states with the higher income taxes at a state and local level. Another chart I want to go ahead and pull up. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin, see what it did today. Bam. All right, so this is the chart for today on Bitcoin. Pretty much, to me, it was a lot of volatility, a lot of movement. We pretty much had a $2,000 price swing from the high of the day, which was at 17,745, and then in a couple of hours it fell down to 15,724 before it recovered. It does look like there is some more downward pressure building currently, as we do have this bearish formation on the MACD. I want to break this down to a little bit more by minute, so you can just kind of see how quick some of these moves were today. So when this price fell out earlier today, it went from, let's see, here's a 16.8 down to 15.7 in an hour. And it took that last 1,000 point move in less than 10 minutes before it almost fully recovered back to, a 4,000 points up, uh, literally within another minute. So there was a lot of volatility, a lot of up and down movement uh, in uh, in Bitcoin today. And again, right now, I'm gonna pull this back out to a 2-hour chart. Where are we at? There we go. Just so we can see where we at, a little bit longer term. Again, we still have a bearish formation in the MACD. We have been holding these key support levels I've been mentioning. We touched back down to the roughly 90-day moving average with that price drop earlier today before it recovered. So that's, to me, a good sign. To me, again, I'm expecting a correction. So these little corrections, these little check downs to these lower support levels can help prevent a larger correction. So, to me, it's a good price movement to see. If you aren't in it, we are in this, downward momentum right now in the pricing. So I don't be surprised if we can get down back below and actually hold some under 16,000 pricing for a while, with the current trend continuing. It seems to me relatively, since these new futures have started trading with Bitcoin, that the pricing has kind of leveled off in the actual Bitcoin itself. The week up until the rollout, we had this large rush and large price increase, and since then, it's kind of the volatility's kind of leveled off. We're getting more into a consolidation range now, so definitely some more sideways movement in the market right now in Bitcoin rather than rallying. Um, and other cryptocurrencies. I'm gonna take a look at Ethereum. It's been on a rocket the last couple hours or so. Again, it's pretty much has nearly doubled in the last couple of days. It's gone from 400 to currently just under 720. Was a high of 744. So it's definitely been picking up some momentum as more people are opening up these digital wallets with Coinbase, etc., exposing more and more people to these cryptocurrencies. But definitely, like Sherika is saying, like I always say, always gotta do your research and do your due diligence. Do you understand the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum? Do you understand the difference between Bitcoin and Litecoin? Speaking of Litecoin, go ahead and pull up that chart because that has been the big mover over the last week or so. When you talk about percentage basis, it's also more. It's tripled in less than a week now. As on the 6th, it was just under $100, and today is at 291. But it spiked up earlier today and hit over 300 before pulling back down. So definitely is some great momentum right now in Litecoin. We are starting to see some more of this sideways trading. So definitely is good to see some consolidation of a base there. If you are looking for support levels right now, do not be surprised if we see a move back down to 240 levels or even down to the 200 level with this recent, and rapid move up in Litecoin. So those are the charts I want to kind of go over with you guys today. I know this show has been longer than most of our other shows, so I'm going to kind of go ahead and wrap this show up for the evening. I will be back Friday night, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do another deep dive into a sector. So I'll let you guys know tomorrow on the page which sector I'm going to be doing. Again, folks, if you haven't already, you should have by now. Like the page, Black Money Market News. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's up and running as well. I always post the videos from our shows on YouTube as well for future reference. Again, if you want to enter this week's Bitcoin giveaway, all you have to do is like, share, and comment on one of this week's shows, and that automatically gets you entered into our Bitcoin giveaway. Each week I give out $10 in free Bitcoin. So if you aren't in Bitcoin, there you go, free $10 in Bitcoin right there. All you gotta do is like, share, and comment, and you're entered. Next week I will have another special guest on. I'll be giving you more details on that on Friday's show. Other than that, guys, I wish everyone have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. And this has been another episode of Black Money Market News. And I'm your host, Sam Hill.